The U.S. and its allies are accusing China of a worldwide cyber crime spree that includes a massive hack of the Microsoft Exchange email server software earlier this year. The breach exposed the information of tens of thousands of private and public entities across the globe. CBS News' Ed O'Keefe has the latest from the White House.
Tonight, the White House is accusing the Chinese government of orchestrating one of the largest cyber hacks in history. The spring attack on the Microsoft Exchange email system hit tens of thousands of companies and gave the hackers, essentially Chinese spies, access to hundreds of thousands of email servers.
Investigation is not finished.
The administration, for the first time, is alleging that Chinese leaders are paying the criminal groups to hack their rivals, costing companies and governments billions. What is your understanding of the biggest difference between what they've done versus what Russia's done in terms of cyber hacking?
My understanding is that the Chinese government, not unlike the Russian government, is not doing this themselves, but are protecting those who are doing it, and maybe even accommodating them being able to do it.
While the administration has sanctioned the Russians following multiple hacks, there are no current plans to sanction the Chinese.
Not only do we need to penalize the contractors, but we need to penalize the Chinese companies that benefit from this intellectual property theft.
Separately, an indictment unsealed today shows the U.S. charged 4 Chinese nationals for a 7-year hacking campaign, where they allegedly hid stolen research and development data in pictures of a koala bear and former President Trump.
These allegations reflect a deliberate choice by China to engage in cheating and stealing instead of innovation.
And Ed O'Keefe joins me now from the White House with more. Hi there, Ed. So how is China reacting to this news, and what are the next steps for the White House?
Good evening, Elaine. Good to see you. The Chinese, just in the last little bit here in Washington, their embassy responding to all this, saying, quote, the U.S. has repeatedly made groundless attacks and malicious smears against China on cybersecurity. Now, this is just another old trick with nothing new in it. They add later that China is also a severe victim of the U.S. cyber theft, eavesdropping, and surveillance. Quoting from them, they say, we urge the U.S. to immediately stop its empire of hacker campaign and stop illegally damaging other countries' interests and security. It's a pretty boldly worded statement there from the Chinese. As for next steps here, the White House making clear that there are no plans for sanctions against China as of now or other retaliatory actions. The mere fact that they got so many other countries and NATO today to speak out against this, however, is seen as a win because they believe that strength in numbers, and the cybersecurity experts like Chris Krebs, who you saw in our piece, will tell you, strength in numbers is a suggestion to China that if you keep this up, there could be severe global economic consequences if they keep up what's alleged.
Well, the president also discussed the nation's economy on Monday. He said the Federal Reserve should take whatever steps necessary to respond to inflation. What types of measures could we potentially see?
I mean, it might be things like interest rate changes and other changes in currency. Look, he says, and a lot of other experts say, this is kind of a transitory jump, that because of the resetting of the American economy that's underway, the supply and demand issues on everything from home goods to groceries to lumber to build your deck, that there's going to be this modest spike. And that, look, if for some reason it continues into next year, by all means, the Federal Reserve, as the independent expert agency that it is, will do what it needs to do. But he said, or reiterated, that he believes, like most economists do, that this is a temporary blip and that things will reset either later this year going into next year.
On infrastructure, Ed, Senator Chuck Schumer is pushing for a test vote Wednesday to advance the bipartisan infrastructure bill, even though it isn't written yet. Now, some Republican negotiators say they're frustrated with this deadline. How might this timeline impact the bill's passage?
It could have an effect. Schumer's argument is essentially, let's put something down on the table and get it on the calendar so that we can keep moving. The issue here is they're running out of days in the month of July before the August recess is set to begin. And while everyone seems to acknowledge there may be a few days of August used for legislating instead of the traditional and legally mandated recess, that they want to try to get as much of this started before that recess begins because there are going to be so many other things that have to be dealt with in September. So really this is about the calendar. It's also a push by Democrats to get this started already because, as even the White House pointed out today, that handshake bipartisan agreement on what to do about infrastructure actually happened a month ago, that they've had plenty of time to discuss this. One of the issues, however, is how to pay for it. There was a proposal to increase the budget of the IRS to go after tax cheats, but it looks like that piece is being removed from the bipartisan plan because they can't come to bipartisan agreement on it. And instead, a similar, more aggressive proposal to raise the IRS's budget is actually going into that Democratic budget plan. That at least is the current standing, and it's part of what appears to be slowing down the bipartisan proposal.
Yeah, and is the Democrats' larger reconciliation bill affecting bipartisan negotiations?
It is, because in this instance, for example, they suddenly discovered that there was a more aggressive plan to fund the IRS in that Democrat-only plan. And so the Republicans said, well, if you're going to do that, we don't need it in here, but then we got to come up with some other way to pay for this that doesn't raise taxes on anyone. And so that is part of the complication. The other is that there's this ongoing staring contest. Which one of you is going to file first? Because if there's something in the bipartisan plan that upsets Democrats, or there's something in the Democratic plan that upsets Republicans, either of these two bills could be upended. And when you've only got this 50-50 majority, or 50 plus Kamala Harris majority for Democrats in the Senate, and you got a bunch of nervous moderate Democrats who face tough re-elections next year, it's going to make this a very tricky negotiation.
Yeah, really delicate situation there politically. Meantime, Ed, President Biden met with Jordan's King Abdullah on Monday in the first of several meetings with Middle East leaders. Can you tell us more about their discussion?
Well, look, Jordan remains such a critical U.S. ally for all sorts of reasons. It's restarted diplomatic relations with Israel, especially on issues regarding water. It obviously has a lot to do and say about the situation in Syria. As the president said to King today, you come from a tough neighborhood. And so this is somebody, a good example of a leader that the president has known for decades, since he was the crown prince and since the president was the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So they go back a while. This was a courtesy visit to sort of reinforce the fact that Jordan remains a stalwart ally in the Middle East and a critical voice on so many issues of concern regarding the economy and the security of that region.
All right, Ed O'Keefe for us. Ed, always good to see you. Thank you.
Take care.